Let's see. All right. Okay. So once again, I wanna apologize for the problems we're having. We are experiencing some technical difficulties that's beyond my control. Yes, yes, certainly a key, Willie. I have considered it. I looked into that in the past. The pricing, though, is quite steep. Um, but I did in fact look into that, Aki. Okay, so we're having I'm having a bit of feedback. I just want to see where it's coming from. Okay. All right. Well, family, we're gonna go ahead and get started. It seems as if we're back and we're stable. I've got to get back to YouTube. Uh, okay. Yes, it should be, babe. All right. Give me just a moment, family. Let me just get things back in order. I'm gonna put a song on, put some music on, just for a short moment here. I could have been someone else today. I could have been the old me, now I'm the new me. Yeah. I could have anger in my heart today. Gotta forgive my enemies, as Yahuah forgave me. Hallelujah, hallelujah, Yahuah, hallelujah, praise Yahuah, oh my soul, oh my soul, oh my soul, oh my soul, oh my soul. My family trying to figure out how I changed, how I can smile when I've been down. I told them I just lift up my hand to the Father named Yahuah. Yeah, yeah. I said he gon' find you, he gon' find you, he gon' hold you, no more worry, no more worries. Without offering, without lips, let's give the praise to Yahuah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, Yahuah. Hallelujah, praise Yahuah. Oh my soul, oh my soul, oh my soul, oh my soul, oh my soul. We will praise Yahuah Allah. We will praise Yahuah Allah. We will praise Yahuah forever. Hallelujah, praise Yahuah. Hallelujah. We will praise Yahuah forever. Hallelujah. All right. Once again, want to say shalom to you all, Mashbakai. It is great to see you on this day. Greetings to you all in Yahuah's great name. I want to begin by saying shalom to Akut Carmen. I'm greeting the family here on YouTube. Shalom to you, Akut Carmen. Great to see you as always, Akut. To my Aki Franklin, I want to say shalom to you, Aki. Wonderful to see you. Also want to greet Rayma 8. Shalom to you, Rayma 8. And also to Akut Kendra Freeman, I want to say shalom to you, Akut. And also, who else do we have? Alexander Aki, I want to say shalom to you. And to any others listening via YouTube whose names may not be represented on the screen, I want to say shalom to you and to your Bayat. Tuda Akut, Tuda Akut Carmen, saying shalom to myself and to my Asha, Tuda Rabbah. And my Asha said shalom. Also want to turn my attention here to Fuse and greet the family here on Fuse. To you all, Mashbaka, I want to say shalom to you, to my Aki, Damon Diggs, under the neck, praise his name, Yada Yahu. I want to say shalom to you, Aki. Also want to greet my Aki Yahukanan. Greetings to you, Aki, in Yahuah's great name. I want to say shalom and welcome once again, my Aki. Also to Blessed 14. Want to say shalom to you and welcome. To Aki Willie, greetings to you, Aki. Wonderful to see you. I want to say shalom to you, my Aki. Also to Aki Warrior, my Aki Matatyahu, I say shalom, Aki. Wonderful to see you as always. To Akut, Talisha, Houston, I want to say shalom to you, Akut. Wonderful to see you again. Also to Akut Sharon, greetings to you, Akut, in Yahuah's name. And also want to greet Akut Renee. Shalom to you, Akut. Greetings in the great name of Yahuah. To my Akut Mariam, Akut Mary, I greet you, Akut, in the name of Yahuah. And also to my Akut Mahalia, greetings to you, Akut. Shalom. Shalom to you. And also to Aki Keith. And not just to the names that are represented on the screen, but to families who are listening in whose names are not represented here on the screen, here on Fuse. I want to say shalom to you also. To my Akut Gina, wonderful to see you, Akut, as always. Greetings to you and shalom. And also want to greet my Aki Deliyahu, to you, Aki, and to your Bayat, to your Asha. I want to say shalom to Akut Kana. I want to say shalom to you, Akut Kana. Wonderful to see you as always. To Akut Carmen again, I greet you, Akut. Akut Angela, greetings to you, Akut Angela. And to my Akut Amuna, greetings to you, Akut. Greetings to you, Akut Al Yashaba. Greetings in the name of Yahuah. To my Aki Adi Al, I greet you, Aki, in the great name of Yahuah. To my Akut Adelaide, shalom to you, Akut Adelaide. And also to Akut Joan. And to my Aki Abiyahu, I want to say shalom. Shalom. Family, it is great to see each and every one of you today. Looking forward to a wonderful fellowship in Yahuah. And also want to take this opportunity to remind everyone that immersion is coming up. And we will continue to keep that at the forefront of our minds, and more information is forthcoming. Okay, so that will be, currently our plans are for the end of June. And so, keep that in mind. We're looking at pricing, the price, because it will be a basically we're checking in on basically we'll be checking in on a Friday evening, leaving on Sunday. Cost of room for 2 nights will be around 120 or so per night. We have to nail down that price because the dates have changed, but more information will be forthcoming. But I also want to just give you an idea of what it will be. There are other costs associated also, and we have had volunteers, family members of our family who have volunteered to cover other charges that we will incur, such as the usage of the conference area, and also charges that might come with as a result of using a outdoor water source, because that's what we desire to do. That's why we're moving it to June, where it is warm. Yes, it can, Akut. I don't know if I was able to see any before now, but I did see the last text that you put up on the board, Akut. All right, so that's exciting. We're looking forward to that. And in our last the last time we were together, a question came up about immersion in captivity, and from the book of Ezekiel, chapter 36. And I haven't had a chance to really dig into that yet. I will be looking at that text. And so we'll talk more about that as time go on. Nonetheless, we give Yahuwah praise, honor, and esteem. It is a delight to be here today. It is great to see each and every one of you, family. And I anticipate Yahuwah's word today, and I hope that you do also. And it is my hope and it is my prayer that it will be a baraka to all of us. Last week we started out in the book of Mashaly, chapter 15. We started out in chapter 15 last week, and we it led us to talking about obedience as opposed to sacrifice. And we looked at Shahul, and we saw the mistakes that he made, so we discussed that quite a bit. And also we also looked at the fact that when we have things in our lives that need to be put to death, and when we fail to put those things to death, then the things that we fail to put to death will eventually speak out against us, will eventually cry out against us. And that was the case with King Shahul. The thing that Yahuwah told him to put to death, he refused to put it to death. He failed to put it to death. And instead he picked up the excuse of saying that, sacrifice is better than obedience. And, unfortunately, many people today still make that mistake. It's easy for us to, if I can use the terminology, it's easy for us to Monday morning quarterback. Everybody can Monday morning quarterback, for the lack of a better term. But we can all, hindsight is 2020, as they say. We can all look back at yesterday and see the mistake that somebody made yesterday, and then talk about how we would not have made that mistake and how that would not have been me. But the reality is that's not true. And so we take on the same attitude even with our ancestors in the scriptures. How many people look at our ancestors and criticize them, talk about how stiff-necked they were and how wicked they were, but the reality is that in many cases, if we were in their shoe, we would do the same thing that they did, right? And in many cases, we're doing some of the same things today that they did, even though we have their testimony, even though we have their account. Yet we fall guilty of the very same things that they did. So what is our excuse, right? And so people continue to make some of the same mistakes, you see. People continue to make some of the same mistakes, but the heart-wrenching thing and the sad thing is that they do not see themselves as making those same mistakes. And that's what's really sad about all of that. Well, family, our walk, with Yahuwah and our path to Yahuwah, it's actually a marathon, not a sprint. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And so it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time for us to get it together. It's going to take some time for us to get it together. You know why? Because we're human beings. What that means is that we were born with this innate desire and this bent to transgress, to go against Yahuwah. We were born in rebellion. We were seeded out of rebellion. You see, so it's in us to rebel. And it's also in us to praise ourselves. It's also in us to see ourselves better than we actually are. How many of us perhaps have taken some kind of test from one point to another, and honestly felt like we did better on the test than we actually did. We have this, we tend to have this, no, I'm not talking about the times when you really know that you really didn't do well. You may have prepared yourself, or so you thought. You felt like, you know what, I got this in the bag. You prepared yourself. It reminded me of, I remember watching a show on TV one time. It's called Wipeout. I don't know how many people have seen it, but there was one. I was watching this one episode of it one night, and this one guy was on there, and he got up on the. You got to go through an obstacle course. So he jumped up on the platform, the starting point, and he's jumping up and down, and he said, "I got this in the bag." He yelled, "I got this in the bag," very emphatically. Got this in the bag. He took off running, hit the first obstacle, the second obstacle, and the third obstacle just totally wiped out. He had it in the bag. He had it in the bag. Many times we might feel like we have it in the bag. And so the end result, however, don't show that. You see, and then when the end result don't show that, then we think sometimes that the indeed we think sometimes that it's not us that's flawed, it's the test that's flawed, you see. And so sometimes we take the same attitude when we look back at our ancestors in the scriptures, and we see how they mess up. We say, how could it be that they come to the bitter waters of Mara, and here they are, they're complaining, and they're cursing Yahuah, and they're cursing the servant of Yahuah, when they just saw Yahuah divided the sea of reeds for them, when they just saw Yahuah being a flame of fire, a light to them by night, and a pillar of cloud by day. How could it be that they could against Yahuah when they saw how Yahuah covered them to allow the death messenger to pass through all of Matzrayim and to destroy the firstborn of all the households of Matzrayim, and yet not one firstborn of the house of Yasharal was touched? How could it be that they could then turn and curse Yahuah when there was no water to drink, after they had seen Yahuah turn the waters in Matzrayim to blood, but yet in the place where they lived they had good drinking water? How could it be that they could have seen in Matzrayim where Yahuah caused hail to rain down on Matzrayim to kill the animals of the field and to kill many peoples of Matzrayim, but yet we living in that place were not touched by this hail, by these plagues? How could it be that they could be so wicked? How could it be that they could be so rebellious? How could it be that they could be so stout-hearted? How could it be that they could be just so doubtful that they would then turn and curse Yahuah just days later? To believe that if Yahuah delivered me out of this great atrocity, that he can't continue to see me through. And we oftentimes criticize them. We oftentimes talk bad about them. But the reality is, family, if we really get serious about it, in many cases we're no better than they. We do the same things. But because we were born with this corruption in us, we tend to see ourselves better than we are. You see, we tend to see ourselves better than we are. But the reality is that in this walk, and the reason why I'm saying this is that the reality is that in this walk, our cleansing is a process, right? Our cleansing is a process. Truth is a process. And I like to say that we do not arrive at the truth, but instead we grow in the truth. And for that reason, we need to be patient with ourselves, patient with one another, and know that Yahuah has been extremely patient with us. And so it's a process, family. It's a process. It's a process. It's a process. And so, may Yahuah continue to lead us. May Yahuah continue to guide us. May Yahuah continue to open our eyes. And may Yahuah continue to strengthen us. You see, and may we be not like the 5 foolish virgins, but may we be, and may Yahuah make us as wise as the 5 wise virgins, those who kept oil in their lamp. Because The race is not given to the swift, neither is the battle given to the strong, but to those who endure to the end. And so we might start off well. But what happens when the cares of life come? Because Yahuah also cautioned us in his word. He gives the parable of the sower who went out to sow. And the sower went out to sow, and he sowed seeds. He sowed the word. And when he sowed the word, some of the word fell on stony ground, some fell among thorns, and some fell on good ground. And he said that the one where the word fell on stony ground, the stony ground representing people and their hearts. And so where the word fell on stony ground, where it fell on stony hearts, those people, they immediately reject the word, right? They immediately reject the word. Where it fell on stony ground, those people immediately rejected the word. Now, it also fell among thorns. And the thing with thorns is that the soil that thorn grow in, that soil has ability. It has potential. Yeah, you see, thorns need soil to grow. Okay? Thorns need soil to grow. And in many cases, thorns occupy good soil. Thorns occupy good soil. Okay? Thorns occupy good soil. And so where the seed fell on the good soil that the thorn occupies, the seed begins to grow, but then the thorns begin to choke out the seed as it grows. And what does the thorn represent? The thorn represents the issues of life, the cares of life. The thorns represent persecution for the word's sake. The thorn represents family members and friends turning their backs on you because you have made a decision to serve Yahuah. Family members and friends turning their backs on you. Friends, co-workers, and other people turning their backs on you because you no longer participate in their pagan customs, their pagan traditions, their heathen traditions that they have declared to be right. You no longer participate in that, and so now they turn their backs on you. And the turning of the back on you by people that you may have thought to be so important in your life and so necessary for your life, when they turn their backs on you, now you're faced with a decision. Whether it is that you're going to lean harder on Yahuah, or you're going to feel as if that, you know what, I'm going to have to lighten up. I'm going to have to compromise a bit because I can't afford to lose their friendship, you see. And so we're going to determine whether we're going to allow the thorn to continue to overrun and to spread and to choke us out, to choke out the word out of us, and then we find ourselves back in the place that we were being brought from. You know, many people have left the church. Many people have left the church. But in as much as many people have left the church, many people have gone back to the church. You know what that is? That's a representation of the sower who went out to sow, and when that seed fell, and it fell among thorns. You see, the seed began to grow. They came out of the church. But then holidays came around, and their families was not there. And so they want to be with their family. So what they do, they say, you know what, I ain't coming to the assembly this week. I'm not fellowshipping with those people this week. I got to go back to church. I got to go spend some time with my family, because family is important. Family is necessary. But Yahusha said, who is my family? Who is my mother? Who is my brother? You see. And so we have a decision to make. So the thorn choke them out because they're at a point where they feel like they miss the fellowship.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. Anybody here?
Yes, indeed. Can you hear us, Aki? Can you hear me, Aki? Aki? I think Aki Daniel is having trouble hearing us. Aki, can you hear me? He's not hearing us. Aki Daniel is not hearing us. Yes, so, you know, you have, you know, so they come out, but then they go back because they feel like they miss the fellowship. You see, they miss the joining in a circle and holding hands. They miss all of that. It's choked out. But then you have the seed that falls on good ground. Okay, the seed that fall on good ground. And that seed takes root and it grows. And what it does is it brings forth fruit. It brings forth fruit. Some 30, some 40, some 60, some 100-fold, right? But it brings forth fruit. Yes, they get lonely. They get lonely and they go back. But it is important to know, family, that walking with Yahuah is a very lonely walk. He says, broad is the way that leads to destruction, and many there be who find it. But narrow is the path that leads to life and shalom, and few there are who find it. So you need to know that when you make a decision to follow Yahuah, it's going to be a narrow path. It's going to be a lonely path. It's not going to be a crowded path, you see. And so be encouraged in that. Be encouraged in that. You might be somewhere, you hear these festive holiday music, and you think about the time spent with family, all the wonderful times you had with the family, and how beautiful this Christmas thing was. Reality is that it's not beautiful. It is only beautiful to those who love wickedness. You see, it is only beautiful to those who love wickedness. It is only beautiful to those who love wickedness. Because if you hate wickedness, then it is not beautiful at all. It cannot be beautiful because you see the ugliness of what it represents. You see the idolatry of what it represents. It's ugly to Yahuah. You see, and so but what we have to do is make sure the thorns of life don't choke out the word of Yahuah. So many people have left the church, but many people have gone back to the church. Many people have left the synagogue, but yet they have gone back to the synagogue. The synagogue, you see. And so we've got to brace ourselves and know that all we need is Yahuah. And he will see us through. I see my Aki warrior. Please go ahead, Aki. Uh, if you would, Aki, please go ahead, Aki. Aki Madat Yahu. Yes, looking for the crowd. Yes, go ahead, Mayaki.
Shalom, Mishpachah. Yeah, I just want to give a quick testimony. And speaking on the fact that what you were saying, that sometimes we might have the issues of life.
Yes.
So I'm reading a book of Yahusha,
Mm-hmm.
and it gives a detail. I know you read it already.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I'm telling you, I read that and I was just so encouraged about Abraham
Mm-hmm.
and the challenges that he went through, and he gives a detailed account about Nimrod and how Nimrod tried to kill him.
Yes.
And
and Nimrod was family.
Because when he was born. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just interjecting there as you say that, and Nimrod was family. Nimrod was his family.
Yeah, Nimrod was his family.
Mm-hmm.
But what I saw was kind of like a foreshadow of Yahusha in the aspect of when his father Terah, Abraham's father Terah, when Abraham was born, that the astrologers and the soothsayers all came to his house to celebrate the birth of Abraham. And then when they left, they saw that one star streak across the sky, and it swallowed up four other stars. And they gave the interpretation to Nimrod what it meant, and they wanted to kill him. But the point is, I'm making that Abraham stood tall for Yahuah.
Yes.
And he went against his father. He went against every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the point that is I want to put out is that stand with Yahuah through any of it. because I'm telling you, I've gone through some of this stuff with these holidays and all like that, and it kind of rubs my family the wrong way because I don't recognize none of that heathen stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and so just be encouraged in Yahuah, Mishpachah.
Praise
Tuda, I
Yahuwah.
release the mic.
Praise Yahuwah, Halahu Yahuwah, and Tuda for sharing Aki. I want to say a quick shalom to my Aki, one Yahu to you and to your Bayat Aki. I want to say shalom. Wonderful to see you, my brother. All right. So we're going to get started. We're going to the book of Mashaly here today. And you know, I know that we have people still in the awakening. I know that we have people still in the awakening. You know, I was watching my wife was watching a conversation on Facebook with two individuals. One that hmm? No, it's not. You got to start over. Give me just a second. Yeah, no, it's a video. It's an old video. Bear with me just for a second, family.
I'm thinking I'm like the conversation not going with what they say.
Yeah, it's not. Bear with me just for a second, family. Gotta go back. Oh, come on. What am I doing? Okay, if you could go back to YouTube, babe, look at the channel. And, okay, sorry about that. Yes. So, you know, I know we have people who are continuing.
That's why they silly because they don't close in tonight.
Bear
They
with
have
me
them
just.
do it, and then at 12 o'clock they got paid
Check.
double time.
Check your mics for me, family. Your microphone. Make sure your mic's muted. Okay. Now. Yeah. So. Okay. So. I know that we have people who are still in the process of awakening, and for some people, the news of these holidays being pagan, it's just that it's news to them, because after all this time growing up in church, they have been told that the Christmas tree is a great thing. It's a wonderful thing, that the Christmas tree is representative of the Messiah. You know, the evergreen means the everlasting life that he came to give, and they've devised just a whole bunch of lying schemes to promote this heathen stuff, you see. Because you see, here's the thing: when it comes to paganism, you have those who know what the symbolisms are, and then you have those who follow those who check to make sure your mics. Bear with me. Check to make sure your mics are muted for me, please, family. Okay, Tuda. When you come in, just make sure your mics are muted for me, family. It comes across terribly on the other end. Okay. Now, where was I at? Let's see. Yes, so you have people who follow the idolatry and they know exactly what they follow. But then you also have the ones who follow it, know what they follow, who spoon feed it to other people under a different guise. In other words, you have those who sit in high places who know what they worship. But what they do is they pretty it up and pass it off to other people and say, see, it's a beautiful thing. You see. You know, I don't know if you've seen this. I don't know if you saw this, any of you saw this. But there was a story. I woke up one morning as I was getting ready for work, 5 o'clock in the morning, and it was on the news. Had this man dressed up like Santa Claus, and he was telling a story about being invited receiving a letter from a little boy that had some kind of terminal illness, I guess some kind of cancer, and got a letter from the little boy uh, that he needed, a visit from Santa Claus before he died, and so this so-called Santa Claus, Satan, Shaitan, because that's what Santa Claus represent. Okay, Santa is just Satan spelled jumbled up. Okay. Now, but anyway, he went to visit this little boy, supposedly, and watching this man on the television telling the story of his interaction with the little boy, I must tell you, when you think about this being a little kid with this terminal disease, and he tells this whole story about his interaction with this little boy, and then after him and this little boy had this interaction, this exchange of words, and him telling the little boy that, when you get to the pearly gates, when you get to the pearly gates, tell them, just tell Saint Peter that Santa sent you, and he'll let you in. And according to him, and he's weeping as he's telling the story. And according to him, the little boy said, "Really? They'll let me in?" And he said, "Yes, they'll let you in. Tell them Santa sent you." And then after he told the little boy this about getting to the pearly gate and telling Saint Peter that Santa sent him and he'll let him in, then the little boy died in his arm peacefully. And they made some more believers of Santa right there. But now, just a few days later, there are now questions as to whether or not the story is even true whatsoever, because they yeah, but what I'm talking about here is the extent that they go to deceive people. Okay, what I'm talking about is the extent that they go to deceive people. We know Santa ain't real, you see, but people will hear that story. Listen, I work with grown people who want to believe that Santa is real. Okay? Grown people. They want to believe that Santa is real, and don't tell them Santa ain't real. Grown people. I work with grown people. They take it seriously. They know it's a lie, but they love a lie. They love a lie. When the scriptures tells us that you have people who love a lie, Yahuah wasn't wasting words. You have people who love to be lied to. You have people who love lies. That's the bottom line. You see? So you have the grown folks who love a lie. And they love the lie, and what they do is they continue to peddle the lie even to their children and to everybody that they can peddle the lie to. I work with a woman that she was telling me that every Christmas when all her kids are grown now, but every Christmas what she would do is she would write a letter for each of her children, and she would change her handwriting so that they wouldn't realize the letters were coming from her. And these letters to each of the children, they were letters from Santa. And now the children are grown, they love Santa Claus. Now they know Santa ain't real no more, but they want to keep it that way. Okay? They're grown, but they still have their Christmas tradition is alive and well in their house. It's the most wonderful time of the year for them. You see. So I recognize that there are people out there who, because you have been lied to so greatly, that it's no way that this thing about Christmas can be a fraud, because the lies have been so very well intertwined. It have been so well put together. When you hear all these songs and the way they rhyme and how beautiful they may sound, it's no way that this cannot be real. These songs had to be inspired, is what people think. They had to be inspired by, and of course they're going to say by God. Well, yeah, they were inspired by God. The problem is that God is not the creator. God is not the creator. God is an idol. God is an abominable idol. An abominable idol. An abominable idol. The name of the creator is not God. You see. God is a deity of fortune. That's who God is. God is a deity of fortune. The deity of fortune. Okay. The name of the creator is not God. The name of the creator is Yahuah. And so people, because of all this, they're really transfixed, and they're really persuaded that these things are good. So I just want to take a moment just to read what Yahuwah's word says. How Yahuwah cautioned his people against Christmas for those where the seed was sown, okay, but it fell among thorns. I want to speak to the thorn. Okay? You don't have to remain a thorn. Okay? You don't have to remain a thorn. All right? You might have left the church. You might have left the synagogue. You might have left wherever you left. But now you're in a place where you're feeling lonely. You feel like you need the crowd. You don't need the crowd. What you need is Yahuwah. Who you need is Yahuwah. You don't need the crowd. You don't need the traditions, because the traditions are vain. You see, the traditions are empty. You don't need none of it. What you need is Yahuwah. Who you need is Yahuwah. You see. Now, so in case there is somebody out there, maybe you left the church a year ago and it's your first Christmas outside of the church, and you're missing the caroling at Christmas time. You're missing check your mics for me, please, family. Okay, Tuda. You're missing the Christmas plays, right? You're missing the Christmas plays. You're missing all of the festive traditions. And you're missing it perhaps because even to this point, you still don't realize that none of that has anything to do with truth. Okay? And I also just want to, I'm talking to the person who might be listening via one of these streams. I'm not talking to people in the room per se. I'm talking to people who might be listening to one of these streams or who may come across the stream. I just want to take a moment to read to you what the scripture says about Christmas and about any of these holidays for that matter. Yahuwah didn't give us any of these holidays that is celebrated in the world. He didn't give any of them to us. The set apart times of Yahuwah are quite different from what is celebrated. And so I just want to take a moment to read, if I would, and to share with you, if I would, for those who might be feeling a little bit lonely right now, tempted to go back to church. What's one of them things they have in church around Christmas time? They have names for them. They have, people bring gifts and exchange with one another. And somebody might be saying, well, it's exchanging gifts. What's so bad about that? That's a good thing. No, there's nothing good about it. It's pagan. It's heathen. Yeah, they have their Christmas pageants. They have other stuff too. I forget what it's called. They have other stuff that they do.
No, not a cantata.
Yeah, they have what they call Pollyanna, cantata, whatever they call them, right? They have all of this stuff, and you might have been in church for years, and you have grown accustomed to these things, and you're missing them. You might have left the church, and now you're feeling lonely. right? Yes, they have their dances, their plays, etc., etc. They have all of that, and you know, and so it might be your first year out. You're feeling a little lonely, you know. Well, this is what Yahuwah says, okay, and I'm going to put it on the screen, okay, concerning those things. There's nothing set apart about them, nothing at all set apart about them, nothing good, nothing right about them. They're all heathen, pagan, okay. As a matter of fact, Christmas is tied to, before it was known as Christmas, one of the names it was known as is Yule, Y-U-L-E, and Yule is a pagan pagan feast. Okay, what does pagan means? Pagan, the word pagan literally means people who worship creation. Okay, worshippers of the creation. And what does Yahuwah tell us about that? Yahuwah warned his people about worshiping, against worshiping the creation rather than the creator. You see, he warned his people against worshiping the creation rather than the creator. Okay, so in Yirmiyahu chapter 10, he says, hear the word which Yahuwah speaks to you, O house of Yasharal. Thus says Yahuwah, do not learn the way of the heathen, and do not be awed by the signs of the heavens. Do not learn the ways of the heathen. What are the ways of the heathen? To be awed by the signs of the heavens. They're very much into the signs of the heavens. They're into the moons, the stars, the constellations. They're into all of that. They're into fire, water, wood, this, that, and the other. They are into the elements. Paganism. Hear the word of Yahuwah. Hear the word Yahuwah speaks to you, O house of Yasharal. People of Yasharal, hear this. Thus says Yahuwah, do not learn the way of the heathen, and do not be awed by the signs of the heavens, for the heathen are awed by them. For the prescribed customs of these peoples are worthless. For one cuts a tree from the forest, work for the hands of a craftsman with a cutting tool. They adorn it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and hammers so that it does not topple. They want to keep it upright. You know, one of the reasons why they want it upright? Because it represents something else also. Okay? It represents something else also. It represents the male reproductive organ. And the reason why it needs to be uprighted so that it can be in the face of Yahuwah. Okay? That's the whole idea. The male sun deity sticking is what should be covered in the face of the Creator as an insult to the Creator. That's what it represents. So they fasten it so that it can be upright and does not topple. They are like a rounded post, and they do not speak. They have to be carried. Talking about your Christmas tree, because they do not walk. Do not be afraid of them, for they do no evil. Talking about your Christmas tree and all of the other idols made by men's hands. Nor is it in them to do any good. Nor is it in them to do any good. So there's a belief among the pagan that you need the Christmas tree from year to year. You need your Yule log from year to year to bring good luck. To make sure that you prosper in the new year. That's a part of the custom. There is none like you, O Yahuwah. You are great, and great is your name in might. Okay? Who would not fear you, O sovereign of the nations? For this is your due. For among all the wise men of the nations and in all their reigns, there is none like you. You see, they are both brutish and foolish, an instruction of worthlessness in the tree. Silver is beaten into plates. It is brought from Tarshish, and gold from Hupaz. the work of the craftsman and the hands of the smith, draped in blue and purple. All of them are the work of skilled ones. But Yahuwah is truly Elohim. He is the living Elohim and the everlasting sovereign. At his wrath the earth shakes, and nations are unable to stand his displeasure. Say to them this, the Allah that did not make the heavens and the earth shall perish from the earth and from under these heavens. The mighty ones that did not make the heavens and the earth shall perish from the earth and from under these earth. He has made the earth by his power. He has established the world by his wisdom, and he has stretched out the heavens by his understanding. When he makes his voice heard, there is a roaring of waters in the heavens, and he makes vapors rise from the ends of the earth. The lightnings for rain he has made, and brings wind from his treasuries. Everyone is brutish in knowledge. Every smith is put to shame by his idol, for his molded image is falsehood, and there is no spirit in them. They are worthless, a work of mockery. In the time of their punishment they perish. The portion of Yahuah is not like these, for he is the maker of all, and Yasharal is the tribe of his inheritance. Yahuwah of hosts is his name. Gather up your bundle from the ground, you who live under siege. For thus said Yahuwah, see, at this time I am hurling out the inhabitants of the land, and shall distress them so that they feel it. Woe to me for my breaking. My wound is grievous, but I say, this is my sickness, and I bear it. My tent has been ravaged, and my cords have been broken. My children have gone from me, and they are no more. There is no one to pitch my tent anymore, or to set up my curtains. You know, family, I heard, and this land is talking about our land, the land of Yasharal. It's not talking about America. It's not talking about any other land, but the land that Yahuwah has given to his people. But what was happening here is that because the people were participating in pagan custom, Yahuwah was getting ready to drive them out of the land, to scatter them out of the land. You see, the Christmas tree was big business. And the idols, the Asherah poles and all that stuff was big business for Yasharal. You see? And our people living in this pagan place fall into that trap still to this day. I heard a report on the news yesterday where the government is encouraging people to buy live Christmas trees. Okay, the government is encouraging people to buy live Christmas trees. Now, I had to get to work, so I didn't hear the full story why they're encouraging people to buy live Christmas trees. But for some reason, they have an interest in promoting a live Christmas tree industry. You see, well, that's what pagan societies do. And that's exactly what Yahuwah tells his people not to get involved with. You see, so don't go around praising Christmas and try to make excuses for Christmas and try to make excuses for Halloween and try to make excuses for Mother's Day and excuses for Father's Day and excuses for this day and excuses for that day. It is all pagan because it was brought to you by pagans. Okay? Now, yes. So, and even your pastor, because you see, pastors promote the paganism because they are pagan themselves also. You see, even your pastor, you see. Now, I want to take you to one more place, and then we're going to get to our study today, but I just want to take some time to talk about Christmas just for a second for people who might have left the church and is tempted at this time of year to go back, because you miss this the what they call it, you know, you miss the celebrations, you miss the crowd, you miss your eggnog, you miss, you know. Let me go to the book of Bamadabar, Numbers. Go to the book of Numbers. No, I think it's Dabarim. Let me go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4. Deuteronomy chapter 4. Deuteronomy chapter 4. And now, O Yasharal, listen to the laws, the Torah, and the right rulings which I am teaching you to do, so that you live and shall go in and possess the land which Yahuah Elohim of your fathers is giving you. Do not add to the word which I command you, and do not take away from it. Don't add to it, don't take away from it. So as to guard the commands of Yahuah your Elohim, which I am commanding you. Your eyes have seen what Yahuah did at Baal Peor. For Yahuah your Elohim has destroyed from your midst all the men who followed Baal Peor. But you who are clinging to Yahuah your Elohim are alive today, every one of you. See, I have taught you laws and right rulings, as Yahuah my Elohim commanded me to do, thus in the land which you go to possess. And you shall guard to do and do them. For this is your wisdom and your understanding before the eyes of the peoples who hear all these Torah, all these laws, these instructions. And they shall say, only a wise and understanding people is this great nation. For what great nation is there which has Elohim so near to it, as Yahuah our Elohim is to us, whenever we call on him? I tell you, Yahuah is near, family. Call on him, and he will answer. Yahuah is near. Yahuah gives us wisdom. Yahuah gives us guidance. I have testimonies, continued testimonies I can share. I know Yahuah is, because he continued to reveal himself to me. He has shown himself great to me. He has shown me favor. He has shown me great strength, right? And what great nation is there that has such laws and righteousness, right rulings, upright rulings, straight rulings, like all this Torah which I set before you this day? None. Only guard yourself and guard your life diligently, lest you forget the words your eyes have seen, and lest you turn aside from your heart all the days of your life. And you shall make them known to your children and your grandchildren. Make them known to your children and your grandchildren. Don't lie to your children. Don't lie to your grandchildren. Don't tell them about Santa Claus is real. That's an abomination. That's idolatry. You see, that's wickedness. That's taking the esteem of the Creator and giving it to an idol. The day when you stood before Yahuah your Elohim in Arab, Yahuah said to me, assemble the people to me, and I make them hear my words. This word is not for the nations, by the way. This word is not for the nations. This word is for the elect of Yahuah. This word is for the elect of Yahuah. Who cares what the nation does? Who cares what the nations does? Let the nations do what they do. But this is Yahuah's word to his people. And you shall make them known to your children and your grandchildren. The day when you stood before Yahuah your Elohim in Arab, Yahuah said to me, assemble the people to me, and I make them hear my words, so that they learn to fear me all the days they live on the earth, and teach them to their children. And you came near and stood at the foot of the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to the heart of Shamayim, darkness, cloud, and thick darkness. And Yahuah spoke to you out of the midst of the fire. You heard a voice of words, but you saw no form. You only heard a voice. And he made known to you his contract, which he commanded you to do, the 10 words. And he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone. And Yahuah commanded me at that time to teach you laws, Torah, and right rulings, for you to do them in the land which you pass over to possess. Therefore, diligently guard yourselves, for you saw no form, no image, when Yahuah spoke to you at Harab out of the midst of the fire. Yahuah is cautioning his people here also. You have people these days running around making images of Yahuah. Okay? You have people running around making images of Yahuah, saying that this is Yahuah, worship him. That is an abomination. Anybody, I say anybody, I don't care what they call themselves. They could call themselves priest this, more that, brother this, aki that. Anybody who go lifting up an image, saying this is Yahuah, worship him, that one is causing the people of Yahuah to transgress against Yahuah. And that one has transgressed against Yahuah because that one has made his own mighty one. The image that he lifts up is not an image of Yahuah. The image that he lifts up is an image out of his own vain imagination, and has then named that image after the name of the invisible creator. That image is not Yahuah. That image is not Yahuah in any form. That image is an abomination. And we see many people doing that. Many people have done that. And many people continue to do it. It is an abomination. Stop it. It's an abomination. It's wickedness. You see? It's sick. It's disturbing. There is nothing good, nothing right about it. Yahuah says it is not pleasing to him. Okay? That's the word of Yahuah. It is not pleasant to him. It is an abomination. You will be judged for it. And Yahuah commanded me at that time to teach you laws and right rulings, for you to do them in the land which you pass over to possess. Therefore diligently guard yourselves, for you saw no form when Yahuah spoke to you at Horeb, out of the midst of the fire. Okay? You saw no form. You know, for people, Santa Claus represents, you know who Santa Claus represents? Santa Claus is supposed to be a representation of the Creator. Okay? Santa Claus, according to these worshippers of this idolatry, Santa Claus is all-knowing. According to these wicked, brutal, foul, idolatrous worshippers, Santa Claus is all-seeing. That's why they sing these little songs that says that he's making a list and he's checking it twice. He's going to find out if you're naughty or nice, because Santa Claus sees all and Santa Claus knows all. And then because Santa Claus sees all and Santa Claus knows all, then you won't get a gift. Santa Claus ain't going to bring you nothing because you've been naughty. Now, if you're nice, Santa Claus is going to, quote unquote, bless you. That in itself is an abomination. That in itself is an abomination. To think that the creation of a man's hands, and to say that the creation of man's hands is omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. Because the only way that Santa can know whether you're naughty or nice is that he has got to be omniscient, meaning that he knows all. Omnipresent, meaning that he is everywhere at the same time. And that he is omnipotent, because he's got to be omnipotent. He's got to be all-powerful to see all, to know all, and to be in everywhere at the same time. And that's the whole idea of Christmas and Santa. Santa is in everywhere at the same time. You got people at midnight in the United States, different parts of the United States, waiting for Santa. You have people in China waiting for Santa. You have people in Saudi Arabia waiting for Santa. You have people in Australia waiting for Santa. And Santa showing up all at the same time. What nonsense. What wickedness. Right? But this is what Yahuah says. Make no image of me. Right? Make no image of me. So to our people in church, you're getting dressed up in your health hat, your Santa suit, having your Christmas plays. Number one, Yahuah did not come to the earth at Christmas time. That's the birthday of the sun. Keep that in mind. We don't worship the sun. We're about to see that. We're commanded not to. Verse 15, therefore diligently guard yourselves, for you saw no form when Yahuwah spoke to you at Horeb out of the midst of the fire. So family, anybody have any image saying this is of Yahuwah, they must take it down, right? Lest you should do corruptly. Yahuwah said, I did not reveal myself to you. I didn't give you an image of myself, lest you should do corruptly, and shall make for yourselves a carved image in the form of any figure, any image made in any figure, other than what Yahuwah approves. The likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast that is on the earth, or the likeness of any winged bird that flies in the heavens. The likeness of any creature that creeps on the ground, or the likeness of any fish that is in the water under the earth. And lest you lift up your eyes to the heavens, and shall see the sun, and the moon, and the stars, all the host of the heavens, and you be drawn away into bowing down to them, and serving them, which Yahuwah your Elohim has allotted to all the peoples under all the heavens. But Yahuwah has taken you and brought you out of the iron furnace. He's brought you out of the iron furnace. You know what the iron furnace is, family? The iron furnace is the furnace of Malak, which is also a representation of Santa. The iron furnace. The iron furnace, what the people used to do was, they made this furnace, an iron furnace. It was supposed to be Malak. They made this furnace, and they would once a year at Christmas time, they would put their children, they would basically groom certain children to be offered up to Moloch. And they would be put in the belly of that furnace as a Christmas offering to Moloch. Okay? The pot-belly deity, having the head of a cow, the snout of a pig. You see. Yahuwah said, I delivered you from the iron furnace. Why do you want to go back there? For I am, and Yahuwah, but Yahuwah has taken you and brought you out of the iron furnace, out of Matzrayim, to be his people, an inheritance as it is today. And Yahuwah was enraged with me because of your words, and swore that I would not pass over the Jordan, and that I would not enter the good land which Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance. For I am to die in this land, I am not passing over the Jordan, but you are passing over and shall possess that good land. Guard yourselves, lest you forget the contract of Yahuwah your Elohim, which he made with you. In the translation that I'm reading from really kind of cut corners when it comes to the whole image stuff here. I'm reading from the 1998 translation, and because they believe in imagery and images, they cut some corners with this translation. But I want to say to you, family, I just want to caution you. I just want to say what Yahuwah's word tells us, but it's literally in the word of Yahuwah that we aren't even supposed to make images of ourselves. And this text that I'm reading from says that. You don't see it so blatantly in here because the translators kind of cut it out in this translation because it's not what they want to hear. You see, it's no different than in the days of Yahu, when Yahuwah spoke a word to the scribes. When they didn't want to hear the word, they got their pen knives and they cut that part out. You see, they were editing Yahuwah. Same thing these foul ones do. So this is Masha speaking about the sacrifice that he has made for the people, and in obedience with Yahuwah's word. Guard yourself lest you forget the contract of Yahuwah your Elohim, which he made with you, and shall make you for yourselves a carved image in the form of whatever Yahuwah your Elohim has forbidden you. For Yahuah your Elohim is a consuming fire, a jealous owl. When you bring forth children and grandchildren, and shall grow old in the land, and shall do corruptly, and make a carved image in the form of whatever, and shall do what is evil in the eyes of Yahuah your Elohim, to provoke him, I shall call Shamayim and Arats to witness against you on that day, that you soon completely perish from the land which you pass over to the Yarden to possess. You do not prolong your days in it, but you are completely destroyed. So that's what got us thrown out of the land, our disobedience, our idolatry. You see, but in our captivity, we must begin to turn away. We must turn away from that idolatry. Yahuah shall scatter you among the peoples, and you shall be left few in number among the heathen, where Yahuah drives you. And there you shall serve mighty ones. There you shall serve mighty ones, the works of men's hands. That's what's happening. And there you shall serve mighty ones, the work of men's hands. So for my people in church, you're serving mighty ones, the works of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. That image of Jesus they have up in your churches, that image of the cross that they have, they're mighty ones that neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell, you see. But from there you shall seek, but from there, in your land of captivity, from there you shall seek Yahuah your Elohim, and shall find, when you search for him with all your heart and with all your being. In your distress, when all these words shall come upon you in the latter days, then you shall return to Yahuah your Elohim, and shall obey his voice. For Yahuah your Elohim is a compassionate owl. He does not forsake you, nor destroy you, nor forget the contract of your fathers which he swore to them. For ask now of the days that are past, which were before you, since the day that Elohim created man on the earth, and ask from one end of the heavens to the other end of the heavens, whether there has been a word as great as this, or has been heard like it. Has a people heard the voice of Elohim speaking out of the midst of the fire, as you have heard and live? Or has Elohim tried to go and take for himself a nation from the midst of a nation by trials, and by signs, and by wonders, and by battle, and by a strong hand and an outstretched arm? What the question is here in verse 34, what other nation on earth can claim that Yahuah came and delivered them out of another nation by signs and wonders? What other nation on the earth can claim that Yahuah sent his instruction to them? What other nation on the earth can claim that Yahuah raised the prophets out of their nation unto him to guide his people, his chosen people, his chosen nation? There's only one nation on the earth that can make that claim, because there's only one nation on the earth that has been chosen by Yahuah. That is an unpopular truth. That's a truth that many people don't want to accept. That's a truth that many people don't want to hear. But the fact of the matter is, Yahuah did not come to save the world. He came to save Yasharal. And of course, there would be people from other nations, a few, a very few, who would with earnestness turn away from their pagan heritage and embrace Yahuah's word. Very few. Not a lot. Very few. Yahuah did not come to save the world. Yahuah never intended to save the world. The opportunity, when the other nations had the opportunity and they rejected it, but because one man obeyed, his nation was chosen, that man being Abraham, and his descendants being Yasharal. You have been shown it to know that Yahuah himself is Elohim. There is no one beside him. We don't serve no Trinity. We don't serve no duality. We don't serve no two Yahuahs. We don't serve no three Yahuahs. We serve the one Yahuah. You have been shown it to know that Yahuah himself is Elohim. There is no one beside him. Verse 35. From the heavens, he let you hear his voice. This is how Yahuah works. From the heavens, he lets you hear his voice to instruct you. From the heavens, he lets you hear his voice to instruct you. Watch that. And on earth, he showed you his great fire. He showed up in the form of fire. You heard him from the heavens, his voice, and then you see him in the earth in the form of fire. And you heard his words out of the midst of the fire. Amazing Yahuah. He alone, him, the one Yahuah, does all this. And because he loved your fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them and brought you out of Mitzrayim with his presence, with his great power, to drive out the one Yahuah. So the one Yahuah, people say that it's impossible for Yahuah to manifest himself in the flesh, in the earth. Really? So because it's impossible for Yahuah to manifest himself in the flesh in the earth, some people say that Mashiach is different from Yahuah. And then some people say that there is no Mashiach. When Yahuah's word make it plain that Yahuah speaks from the heaven, then manifest himself in the earth, the same one Yahuah. That the one Yahuah is also our deliverer. It is he who saves his people. It is he who delivers his people. You see, we don't need no Santa Claus. We don't need no Jesus. We don't need none of them other idols. They're all man-made. All we need is Yahuah. And because he loved your fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them. He chose you. And brought you out of Mitzrayim with his presence and with his great power. To drive out from before you nations greater and stronger than you. To bring you in and to give you their land as an inheritance, as it is today, as it will be again. It is not so right now. And you shall know today, and shall recall to your heart, that Yahuah himself is Elohim, that Yahuah himself is Elohim. There is no Elohim beside him. Yahuah himself is Elohim in the heavens above and on the earth beneath. He is Elohim. Yahuah himself is Elohim in the heaven above and in the earth beneath. There is none else. Does that get any plainer than that? To you people who deny Mashiach, does it get any plainer? Well, maybe you can't see because you've been blinded. In many cases, you've been blinded because your pride has blinded you. Your arrogance has blinded you. You see, where there is pride, then ignorance will always prevail. Where there is arrogance, ignorance will always prevail. And where ignorance prevails, then destruction takes hold. You shall guard his laws and his commands, which I command you today, so that it is well with you and your children after you. So that you prolong your days on the soil in the land, so that you prolong your days in that land which Yahuah your Elohim is giving you for all time. Then Masha separated 3 cities beyond the Jordan toward the rising of the sun, for him who killed someone to flee the cities of refuge. I'm going to stop there. I read all that, family, because I want to emphasize, I want to encourage anyone who might have recently come to a knowledge of Yahuah. You might be wrestling at this time, this so-called festive season, because, you know, it is so festive in church at this time, and it is so festive in the world at this time. I want to emphasize something to you. I want to emphasize the fact that this so-called Messiah that they worship on December 25th is no Messiah whatsoever. No Messiah whatsoever. We do not have a Messiah that was born on December 25th. Our Mashiach came to us at the Feast of Booths, the Feast of Tabernacle, not in December. At the fall feast of Yahuah. The image that they lift up to you, saying that this is your Messiah, worship him, that homosexual figure is an abominable. No Mashiach whatsoever. The name that they give you to call on is the name of an idol. No name whatsoever. So I just want to encourage you. I want to say to you out there who don't know yet, Christmas is an abomination. Christmas is an abomination. The Christmas tree is known as the image of jealousy in the scriptures, in the book of Ezekiel. Yahuah called it the image of jealousy. Why does he call it the image of jealousy? It's the same thing known as the Asherah pole, with that distinct shape, representing the reproductive organ of the so-called invented sun deity. It's an abomination to Yahuah. So don't long for vain tradition. Long for the truth. The path to Yahuah is narrow. It's not a crowded path. You see. Oh, Akut Sharon. Yeah. Yeah, that's not at all. Purim is laid out for us in the book of what Adasa they call Esther, and it's nothing like that. Nothing like that. All right. Well, family, we're gonna get to our text for today. I just wanted to take some time, because I see where our people might come out of the church and they might start to serve Yahuah, but the first holiday come around, they get tripped up in many cases. Sometimes it don't even take a holiday. Sometimes it's just through the year want to be with a crowd. You see. Crowd does not mean presence. The fact that there is a crowd does not necessarily mean that the presence of Yahuah is there. And so our first priority must be to seek Yahuah. Alright, our first priority must be to seek Yahuah. Alright. Well, Mashpaka, we're going to go ahead now and we're going to prepare to go to our study for today. What our study is to be. Our study for today. You see. Indeed, Aki. Zarki Delayahu posted, New Year's is not really the celebration of new life. Can't be in the dead of winter. That's right. None of their holidays is right. None of their times are right. None of their times are right. Valentine's Day can't be about love when it spreads lust and the shooting of arrows or errors. April Fool's Day gives you a pass on lying. Thanksgiving gives homage to a massacre and genocide of a people. Then back to Christmas, which has nothing to do with Yahusha. Yes, indeed. Akut, please go ahead, Akut Sharia. I see your flag, Akut. Please go ahead.
Shalom to everyone. I hope I can be heard.
Yes, you can, Akut. Yes, you can. Great to hear you.
Oh, Tuda Aki, same here. Good to hear you. Okay, just so I won't be confused and possibly no one else on this matter, the image we were kind of texting, on the sidebar here about images. Now that scripture, is that, from my understanding, I think we shouldn't be so foolish as to think that we can't have a photo. I'm thinking that scripture is talking about idolizing, worshiping, and things of that nature. as far as photos are concerned, or even having them plastered all throughout the house. I disagree with that. I wouldn't even have those. I don't have any pictures on my wall, period. But I do have some old pictures that I used to have, and they're put away. They're in a drawer, or I've given them to my son. But I don't think we should be so foolish as to think that we shouldn't have any photo of ourselves, or as Akut Amuna was saying, about what if somebody's kidnapped? We should have a photo to even show what the person looked like, and things like that. I kind of want to get your take on it. I know we've spoken of this before, but it sometimes seems like, and I'm not pointing out anyone, I'm just saying, it seems like sometimes, even when you go over these studies and we're all like, oh yeah, we understand, it seems like we're just not there sometimes, like we just backtrack, like we're not going forward. But now, and don't hate on me, family, I'm just saying, it just seems like it. Because, and we kind of have these discussions on the sidebar, and I'm like, man, didn't we just go over this like a month ago and everybody understood and blah, 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 whatever. But just so I can be on the right track, can you kind of elaborate on that just a little bit?
Yes.
Because I think we're not all on the same page. And $2 bye, I'm gonna get off the mic. Praise Yahuah. It's good to see everyone.
Praise Father, praise Yahuah. To that for bringing that up, Akut. And I mentioned that as I was reading there, that the translation that I'm reading from actually did some disservice to that text, in that it kind of lightened on some things, didn't translate emphatically what the text actually says concerning imagery. So let me begin here. Throughout Yasharal's history, wait, let me start here. Understand this, family, that we live in a different era, right? We live in a different era. We live in a time where photography, for example, plays a role that beyond what it has ever played in the history of Yasharal. I won't say even in the history of the world, because the heathen have always had images and have always been into images. But Yasharal was never a nation of imagery. So the scriptures tells us, and I have a video on YouTube about this that goes into much more details. It gives you a breakdown of the words that's used in the text. Because unfortunately, many people over the years have taught that, well, this is only talking about when it comes to worship, but not, not just taking pictures for taking pictures. Now, I believe that we have to use wisdom. So we live in a society where it may be necessary. As a matter of fact, you can't help it. To some extent, if you have a driver's license, you got to get your pictures taken. You need ID, right, to function. So you got to, at some point, you got to have your picture taken. So when the purpose behind it, when there is true purpose behind it, other than vanity, right, we can do a whole lot of stuff. We can do stuff that have a sound foundation, that have a purposeful foundation. We can do that, but then you can do stuff out of vanity. So when you see people just running around, just snapping pictures of themselves, almost like their own billboard, you see, you go to some people's the Facebook is what we use today, right? You go to some people's Facebook page. I'm not talking about anybody in the family. I'm just saying in general. You go to some people's Facebook page and it is a human billboard. They're advertising themselves all day long. They're taking pictures standing on their head, pictures laying on their side, pictures this and pictures that, all kinds of pictures, just pictures everywhere. You see, and the question is, what is the purpose? You see, what is your motivation? Do you think so highly of yourself? You know, what is it? You see, that's self worship, that's self adoration, that's self praise. The scriptures literally tells us, family, that we should make no pictures of ourselves. But again, there's also purpose behind what you do. So, for example, Yahuwah says, make no images of anything in the heavens, on the earth, or under the earth. Now, translators say that only applies to graven images. In other words, images you're creating to worship. But when you look at the actual word that's used, it's not talking about just images created to worship. You see? It's talking about pictures, images overall. Sometimes the way the word is translated in some translation is similitude, or literally meaning picture. Make no pictures of anything, with the exception of those things that Yahuwah has given the okay to do. But again, we live in a society where certain things is a must in order to function in the society that we live. So yes, you can have pictures. I mean, if I go to do a video, because that's the way we communicate, that's the way we reach each other, that's actually me burning an image of myself, right? And so what is the purpose behind what I do? What is the purpose behind what you do? Is the purpose just to esteem yourself, right? Is the purpose just to praise yourself? Or to praise something or someone, to exalt something or someone? That's where the issue really comes in. That's where the issue really comes in. Is it substantive or is it vanity? Vanity upon vanity, says the preacher, is nothing but vanity. You see? And so reality is, and the truth of the matter is, that some people are just vain. Some people are just vain. You see, they're empty. Hey, they put on one wig, they put on one weave today, and they snap 10 pictures. Then later on, they go change the weave and put on another weave, and they snap another 10 pictures, and then, and so on and so forth. They're just full, they're just vain. You see, so really, what it comes down to, the question is, what is your motive? What is your motivation? That's really what it comes down to. What is the purpose? What is your motive? And so that's what it comes down to. That's really what it comes down to, Akut. Yes, the intent.
Okay.
Yes, Akut.
Praise Yahuwah, hallelujah. Oh, halal. I can't even say that enough. $2 bar. We have to start reading these scriptures and understanding. I mean, you know what now when I'm talking, I talk to my son and even Robert like this too, but we have to start reading these scriptures and stop taking them out of context and stop getting all crazy with them. It kind of reminds me of the Shabbat when we were trying to honor it. Everybody was saying, we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't boil water, we can't do that. What was the purpose of it? To not work a sweat?
Exactly.
I'm just saying,
yes,
we really need to grow up in this word and stop. We just really, okay, I'm gonna get off the mic. Shalom.
Yes, you're absolutely correct, Akut. You're absolutely correct. And so out of misunderstanding, what comes out of misunderstanding is false conviction. You see, false conviction. People being and false conviction leads to self-condemnation and the wrongful condemnation of others. You see, condemning people wrongfully, and even condemning yourself. And that is absolutely, you're absolutely right. All right. Now, family, I want to go to praise Father, praise Yahuwah. Yes, certainly, Akut. You have people that wear wig where, uh, you know, because they have no hair or whatever. Let me say this, family. Um, as a people, we have been taught to hate ourselves. We really have been taught to hate ourselves and to our own destruction. Because our women, I remember my wife for years spent a whole lot of money on weaves. Uh, uh, because I thought you wouldn't mind. Okay, my wife spent a whole lot of money on weaves, but it's not just the weave, it's the chemicals that she would put on her scalp to fit the weave, to make the weave stay on her head, right? What does that do to you, right? What does that do to us right now? When I was growing up, when I was growing up living in Jamaica, people used to bleach themselves, used to bleach their skin, and all of that goes back to slavery and what was done during the time of when slavery was at its most brutal point. Because, and still it is the same way today, but the darker you are, the more hated you were. Okay, the darker you are, the more hated you were. The more hated you were by the slave master and by his family and by every other light skinned person, and the more hated you were by your own people. The darker you are, the more hated you were. And so, in Jamaica, for example, where the brutality of slavery was great, and in the Caribbean for that matter, you've always had this underlying culture of people bleaching their skin secretly. Do it here in America too. Black people do it all over the world, actually. But bleaching your skin secretly. But now, family, it's to the point where it's no more no secret. It's actually a fad now in Jamaica. I just watched a video where they're openly relishing bleaching, skin bleaching, and you have people on camera talking about how ugly women are that are dark skinned. You see, so we have been conditioned to hate ourselves. We have been conditioned to hate our hair. We have been conditioned to hate the color of our skin. You see.
Because wigs and weave didn't become demonized until black women began to start wearing them. When you watch them old Western movies, them women, I don't mean to put color here, but white women have always worn fake buns, fake butts. That's why them bustiers on them big, what's the name, them dresses, they ain't big because they holding packing back there. Okay, they make us look bad. Then they go get our fake lips, our skin complexion, and now they braiding their hair. Okay, and then y'all turn around and tell us, oh, it's demonized, this and that. No, hold up. You wouldn't call nobody a demon. Let's how about Jennifer Lopez? They all got extensions all in their hair, but they're beautiful. They're considered beautiful because of the complexion of their skin. Then when black women go do it to be beautiful for their men, then what? What? Can't win. I mean, me, I got locks. I don't care. It is what it is. But be careful.
Yeah, what happened is we have translated when we look at ourselves, Aki, I see your flag, Aki. Don't put it down. When we look at ourselves, we hate ourselves. We want to look like somebody else, you see? And so we hate ourselves. We hate the color of our skin. We hate the texture of our hair. And so what we do, we kill it. We kill our hair, you see? We kill our skin. We kill ourselves. Let me go to Aki Matatyahu. Go ahead, Aki.
Yeah, Key, I just wanted to touch on that. I'm over here in Afghanistan, so I get a lot of the television networks that is shown coming out of India,
Okay.
and that Western society, that European society, has really poisoned the mind of this whole entire world.
Yes.
And those folks on India, I mean, that's all they promote on television is the bleaching of their skin. I mean, literally turning their skin from a dark brown color
Yes.
to to a beige white. I mean, if anybody ever seen Little Kim, from what she used to look like to what she look like now,
Yes.
that's the kind of stuff that they
Yes.
promote over on Indian television.
Wow.
It's pitiful. It's awful.
Yes. Yes. And you see, that's.
It's not just the men. We watched that video with the Jamaican, the
Oh yeah,
black
women.
men.
Yeah, men and women.
The men was
Yes.
crazy, but he said they love me. I'm like, whoa,
yeah,
look
yeah,
at dude.
yeah. It's not just women; it's men also. Aki Mother Yahuah said something there just now. You see, and that is the nature of the beast. You see. Yes. What's his name? Sosa totally whitened himself. He's Dominican now. The Dominicans have a complex. You see. Now, when I say this, I don't speak of every individual Dominican, but the Dominican Republic, I've always had I had a complex. You see.
That's so sad.
But
you black, you are somewhat hated. Like, why don't you like me because of the complexion of my skin? Like, think about that. People, we look at them and we say they crazy, but really, if you a dark-skinned African person, you are literally demonized just because of the complexion of your skin. So imagine how that make that person think mentally. I got to do something about that.
yeah, but that's white supremacy at work, and that's white supremacy from going back to the 1800s. No, sorry, the early 1600s on into the 1800s. That's white.
It's a mental illness. Would you consider that a mental? Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm mentally driven insane to wear a weave because nobody, embraces the texture of my hair.
Yeah, I think we are mentally, we are mentally and emotionally impacted based on the experience, based on the brainwashing, based on imagery. You see what I'm saying? Listen. Just a few years ago, just a couple years ago, you had a guy that went in to get a role in a commercial for Acura, okay, advertising for Acura. They were getting ready to make a commercial, so a Christmas commercial for their cars. Black guy went in, black actor went in to what they call it, audition for the commercial, and he had a great resume, but you know what came out? What eventually came? He didn't get the job, and what they found out later on was that emails were sent from the top saying that he was too dark. His complexion, he was too black for to represent their vehicle. You see, he was too black. He was too dark. Okay. So they did not use him, and he sued them, and he got a few $1 million out of the lawsuit. But that's something that happens all the time. So that kind of complex now, it affects the world. That's white supremacy. That's what European nations have done to the rest of the world, and that's just the fact. You see, I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. A lot of people.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Aki.
Yeah, real quick. And I mean, like I was saying, that European, that white supremacy European culture, they have this. It was a commercial over here also in that they use in China, where they promoting this certain kind of laundry detergent.
Yeah.
And this Chinese girl and this black guy, and they at the washing machine, and then she puts the laundry detergent in the washing machine, and she's standing with the black guy. Then it flips the screen and comes back, and now after the laundry is finished, she's standing by the washing machine with a white guy.
Wow. Wow. But that's interesting because in bleaching they use soaps in bleaching also. And that might very well be another subliminal promotion of the process also, not just the idea but the process also. But that's just outright racist. That's amazing. To the to that.
That's messed.
Let me go to my Aki. He's been waiting there for a little bit. Aki, praise his name. Go ahead, Aki.
He might need to be. Is that
No. That's Aki Damon Diggs.
Do you have to unmute it for him?
Let me see if I can. Oh, you are unmuted, but we're not hearing you, Aki. Let me give him a 2. You might want to click. You might want to press your audio. Click on your audio thing at the bottom there, like the telephone, and then click it again to see if we can connect. I see you're unmuted, but we're unable to hear you.
So meanwhile, the question is, are wigs or weave? I'm sorry. What is it again, y'all?
Oh, there was a question there.
Is it a sin to wear weave? I believe that's.
Shalom,
Yes, go ahead, Aki.
shalom, can you hear me?
Yeah, shalom, Aki.
Shalom, Mashaly. Could it be possible that some of it is thing with the skin, a mental thing that it's a self-hate thing, but is it possible that it's a lot deeper, even deeper than that, pertaining to the Messiah and his color? Could that be a possibility? I mean, did they go? Do they actually have gone that far to get us to hate ourselves, to reflect in hating him?
Well,
we hating ourselves is to hate him.
Yeah, I believe that is a part of the driver, Aki. I believe that is I believe we see that in some of the rhetoric that we have seen and heard over the years. Listen, in my experience, for example, when I used to earlier, I spent a lot of time posting information on Facebook when I felt it was really necessary, when the information wasn't so much out there. I spent a lot of time posting information on Facebook about the natural appearance of Mashiach and the people. And what's amazing to me is that when I did that, I had a lot of Caucasian people who would come back when they can't contend with the facts. Then they would then come back and say, well, what does it matter, right? This color of his skin doesn't matter. But then I've also seen people who say that the Messiah could never be using the N-word, and so on. So white supremacy again have really, they built society upon that kind of thinking, and for us to even to pit us against even that acceptance. Again, this is about stealing the identity of a people. So they're not going to waste any expense to the degree that they go. So I absolutely agree, Aki, that I believe that it's not just possible, but they've actively pursued and done that. All right, let me go to Aki Delayahu. Please go ahead, Aki.
Shalom, Mashaly, shalom.
Shalom, Aki.
It's funny we are on this subject. That we're on this particular subject. Not to drag it out. I saw a video recently of a Caucasian little boy who was supposed to be dead for like 10 minutes and another one almost for like 30 minutes. And they both came back, and when they're explaining themselves to their parents and to the doctor and to the camera, they said, and they call him Jesus was a N-word. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's straight like, yeah, you didn't tell me he was an N-word. And you know what I'm saying? There was some white people there, but they were entertaining the the N words and stuff like that. I just found it kind of
Yeah.
hilarious that he would say that,
Wow. Yes.
which draws me back to a question. I was doing a little bit of research, between Esau and Yaakov, and
Mm-hmm.
I know they have the same mother and father. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really, and I know he's supposed to be the founder, well, the originator of the Edomites and of the white or Caucasian or European skin. But
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, like, how do we get to that when Esau initially was maybe an albino or a black? Well, he was black because he was from the same mother and the same father. So where exactly did we see the white man come into existence? Is it from Enoch and the fallen angels, or is it, because they love calling themselves angels, whether they're fallen or not, because they want to put themselves on a pedestal anyway. But
Mm-hmm.
in that, I say at the same time that, okay, well, would that make you less to be a creation of the creation that the creator created, as opposed to being a creation that the creator himself created?
Mm-hmm.
So you still at odds in the end, regardless
Mm-hmm.
on that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And then they do this and they refute that. So I was trying to get a grasp on exactly when did the Caucasian or the European
Mm-hmm.
skin toned person come into existence
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I release the mic.
To the key. Yeah, so as you mentioned, so there's a teaching out there concerning Esau, and that Esau was white and his brother was black, and that hence the rise of the Caucasian nation. Um, but that's not according to the scriptures, and even though you hear black people saying that, it's not black people didn't come up with it. White people, whites, and when I say white people, please understand I'm not labeling every white person, saying every white person came up with this, but it was the Caucasians that came up with those doctrines at first. The Caucasians came up with two doctrines basically. They came up with that doctrine that says that Esau was white and his brother. Well, they actually didn't say. Yes, some of them said his brother was black. Some of them said that bottom line Esau is white, and they used that to say David was Dahoud, who they called David, was white also, because you have the same description being used, so on and so forth. I got to understand that even among uh, in church, in the synagogue, you have different beliefs. It's a whole bunch of rubbish, quite frankly. So I don't want to get too much into it because it's a whole bunch of mangled mess. So, but there is this belief that basically black and white, that you basically have the beginning of the black race. So the ones say that the beginning of the black race came from the curse of Ham, saying that Ham was cursed by by Nach, and that's not according to scriptures either. But the question is, where did white skin come from? Where did the Caucasian race come from? Because there's a difference between what they call white skin and being a Caucasian. Because nobody is truly white and nobody is truly black, right? But let's go with the terminology white and black. White skin come from two sources. White skin comes from a curse. So the one that's really cursed, according to scripture, is the person with white skin. But racist Caucasian said that the one that's really cursed are people with black skin. Quite the opposite of what the scriptures show us, right? So you have leprosy in the scriptures. Leprosy is a condition of the whitening of the skin, or leprosy, which is different than what they have reclassified leprosy to be today. Leprosy is the depigmentation of the skin. Leprosy is a curse in which melanin, Yahuah causes melanin, the body to stop producing melanin, that the melanin gland becomes calcified. So now that happens in a couple of different ways. So for example, you have Gehazi, who was Yahu's servant. He was cursed with leprosy, but his leprosy was clean leprosy. You have clean leprosy and you have unclean leprosy. So Gehazi was cursed with leprosy. For example, he was cursed with clean leprosy, and his descendants after him, would have that, curse would be upon them. Just check your phones for me, family. Make sure that your phone line is muted. Okay, so they would be, that you have that clean leprosy. Now, clean leprosy is not that produces light skin, light complected skin, skin lacking melanin. That's not the same as being a Caucasian. That's being an albino. Okay, and a black person who is an albino is different from a Caucasian person. So where did the Caucasian come from? We have a Caucasian race because of the migration of people. Even science have proven this. Okay, biological science have proven this. So people migrated, and the earth have gone through many changes over many years. Number one, we need to understand that the earth is far older than what Christianity tells us that it is, and that human beings on the earth have been on the earth far longer than what Christianity tells us that they have. And over the years, the earth have gone through many radical changes. And the earth at one time was much colder than it is now. And different places on the earth had different climates than they do now, to varying degrees. Mankind started out in a hot place in Africa. That's where mankind started out. That's where Yahuah started creation, in Africa. And what happened is man migrated, and as they migrated into colder climates, it had an effect upon the human genome, and that caused eye color to change, that caused hair texture to change, that caused skin complexion to change, that caused the way the body operates to change, you see. And so out of that migration, that's where what we now know today as the Caucasian race, that's where that Caucasian race developed. They don't come from another breed. They don't come from you have all kinds of stuff out there that people say. But everybody, and biology shows this, even though many white people see themselves totally different from black people, and see themselves totally better than black people, see themselves as just everything that black people are not. A lot of white people see themselves that way. The reality is that black people and white people have a whole lot in common. Okay? Because white people came out of black people. Okay? But it is a recessive gene, meaning that the gene got broken down. Okay? And so that's basically what happened. That's how the white race, so-called race, came about. Okay? From migration. Let me go to my Aki. Go back to Aki. Please go ahead, Aki. Yes, indeed, Aki.
Hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me, Aki?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Aki.
That the thing that you were speaking of, the melanin. And it brings me back to the scripture. It speaks about, was it Paul, Peter? He had a, other than that, out of body experience of vision. And the, he seen the Messiah. And he said, skin like a sardine stone, unlike others.
Wow.
Paraphrasing, this was for the messengers that were around him. You know, I think sometimes, I think, I believe there's something to this, I think a deep thing to this element because, um, uh, we don't sometimes, sisters, your wife is speaking about how we uh, how we, as men, kind of are used by Satan to, promote the, if we're not, connected to him, we're used to promote our wigs and tell else to put on the wigs. And until the brother said, like he said, when he spoke about all, the putting the brother going into the wash machine coming out white.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about all of this is all together, even down to the Jamaicans bleaching their skin. When you think about all these devices that are constantly put together, I can't help but think that, and I'm just kind of expounding on what we already talked about, I can't help but to think that deeper, when you speak about the Messiah and his color, because I don't believe that, I believe everything that down to the hair on his head
Uh-huh.
is very, very important. It's important no matter how detailed when it comes to him. It's very important, and there's a reason for it. The deeper reasons for the melanin, the things that we don't understand, and to actually put bleach on that or cover our the grain of our hair, anything, it's just something that I kind of just I'm hoping to some way somehow get into deeper scripture of his, the reasons of even his appearance.
Yeah.
If you probably already covered it, but to get in the deeper reasons to his appearance, because it's like I tell people all this all the time. He doesn't do anything, or even the way he looked, is for no reason. It's a reason for all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Shalom, shalom. Praise Yahuah.
Praise Father. Praise Yahuah. Now, the thing that I would I caution when it comes to, because if we go by what we find in the scriptures, Yahuwah's appearance wasn't determined based on racial bias. It was determined based on one man's willingness to obey, and therefore through that lineage he manifested himself. So the scriptures tells us that even when we read in the book of Yashar, or even in the other writings, it tells us that Yahuwah sought throughout the earth. He looked for a man. He sought for people who would obey, and the only one who responded when it came time for the birth of a nation, the only one who responded was Abraham, you see. Now we can learn some other things concerning his appearance, you see, and but not from the perspective of it being let me put it this way. In other words, then he didn't choose Abraham because of his color or because of his hair texture. He chose him based on obedience, you see. And the same is true today. Doesn't matter what a person look like. If they will obey, if they will disavow their pagan ways, their pagan heritage. Oh, YouTube is offline, family. To the Aki. Let me see if I can get that back. Doesn't matter what a person look like today. Let's see. You know what, Aki? If you could, family, if you're on Fuse and also on YouTube, if you could go out and then go back to the YouTube feed, it should show for you. I'm just monitoring it here from my computer, and it's showing to be active. So, but you might have to go back to the link again, okay, in order to get it back. Okay, yeah. So shows me that it's on. So you may have been interrupted. You just have to go out and go back, restart, click on it, and open it up again, family. Okay. Tuda for making me aware, though. Yes. So, what I would caution though, because there are people out there who teach what would amount to, and you see, that's what not how should I put it? Nazism teaches. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but that's what Nazism teaches. That's what they believe. You see, number one, they teach that they are the chosen people, and
this conference is being recorded.
I didn't even realize Fuse was off. They teach that they are the frozen people. They are the chosen people. The frozen people. They're the chosen people, and that they teach that they're the chosen people, and that they're chosen because of the color of their skin. You see, so we have to. That's not true. Nobody was chosen because of the color of their skin. You know, Abraham was not chosen because of the color of his skin. He was chosen because of his willingness to obey. You know, so that's something that when it comes to appearance, we have to be careful of. We have to be mindful of, because at the end of the day, you know who created the whole skin issue and color issue at the end of the day? Now, Yahuah cursed people with leprosy, which is a whitening of the skin. People who disobey, okay, they were cursed with leprosy. But at the end of the day, people are not chosen based on what they look like outwardly. They're chosen based on what their heart is like inwardly. You know, so I believe it's important to keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to identifying the people, the chosen people, the natural seed, the chosen nation, I believe that is where the appearance of Yahuah, when he manifests himself in the earth, I believe that's where that is critically important, and where that is vitally important. That's where we need to pay attention to the scriptures when it talk about the texture of his hair and the color of his skin. I believe that's where that becomes important. And the only reason why it becomes important is because the wicked have worked so much to hide, to cover up the truth. And that's the only reason why it's important. Other than that, it would be of no importance. But because the wicked have worked to hide the facts, then it is then necessary for us to point out and to highlight those things. So you know, that's yes. Go ahead, Aki.
Absolutely. Now it's funny that you brought that up, because you know, I've been, around,
Mm-hmm.
in my search. I've been around looking and searching and so on and so on. And I was basically pretty much hitting around on that the last part of what you just said. I was hitting on that,
Yeah.
and uh, and you're absolutely right. Scripture does talk about you will know them by their fruits,
Yes.
and you will be able to tell a wicked person just by sometimes they say out their mouth. But and so in that aspect, yeah, we're in agreement with that. But I wanted to ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it spoke about uh, the nations, because I've seen all the time the biracial couples and so on and so on,
Mm-hmm.
and I I want you, I want to do some of this because now the seed, and I pretty much sometimes like the sister said, sometimes you know sometimes you might hear something, but you put it up on a shelf. You put it
Mm-hmm.
up on the shelf until it's confirmed, or you pray about it, and so that you are deceived, and you wait on Him.
Mm-hmm.
And, the basic things that we should do as believers, that He said, the basic things that we, um, and the thing that I want you to expound on is the Bible couples, mixing the seeds, mixing the nation. When it speaks about mixing the nation, are they speaking about the ways and culture? Or are they also speaking about um, the seed, mixing the seed,
Mm-hmm.
the so-called whiting out, or whiting out the uh, the seed of uh, Yahshua.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what are your thoughts on that?
Yes. Great question, Aki. All right. So I got to go back to teachings that exist on the subject as I address the subject. So you'll find a lot of teachings out there that again make even that subject of foreigner, taking a foreigner to wife, making it about race, when scripturally it was never about race. This whole idea of race became an issue because Europe invented something called race and made race an issue. For example, during the time, even before Europe became as wide as it is today, while the Romans and the Greeks were in control. Even during that time, race was not an issue, right? Um, During the times of Mashaly, race was not an issue. Race did not become an issue until until the 1600s. Okay, was when race became an issue, and they invented something called race. Before then, there was no race. Okay, now, so what the scriptures speak about is not being unequally yoked with unbelievers. So for Yasharal, the heathen, and scripturally, according to the scriptures, the heathen is not just white people. You have a lot of black nations that are heathen, you see, that Yahuah warned Yasharal against having anything to do with. Now today we in a society kind of like where it's more about black and white, but even from Yahuwah's perspective, it's not even about black and white. It's about the wicked and the upright, you see. So so when Yahuwah warned Yasharal about taking foreign wives, it was never on the issue or basis of race. It was on the basis of belief or unbelief. Now, when if we're concerned with say person of Yasharal marrying somebody that's white, that it's going to whiten Yasharal, The fact of the matter is that will never happen. And I'll tell you why it won't happen. Because the majority of people from other nations will not become Yasharal. Okay? Will not genuinely become Yasharal. And if we, as people of Yasharal, are living according to the instructions of Yahuah when it comes to choosing our spouses, then even if you have one person, people, or three, or five, or even 100 people having somebody of another complexion uh, uh, that is now of Yasharal, that small number of people, because it's not going to be many people of the other nations that will genuinely be Yasharal. It's not a whole lot of Caucasian people that will be willing to embrace. There's not a whole lot of Caucasian people that will be willing to embrace our heritage and to embrace us as a people and to accept the truth for what it is. It's very, 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 very few Caucasian people that will do that. Listen, over the years since I've been in this room, I've had quite a few Caucasian people come and go from this room. And they can deal with the truth up unto a certain point. But when you get down to the nitty gritty of it, they got a problem. You see? And pretty soon they become offended and they leave. You understand? So they might come in sounding, like they want fellowship. You see, they might come in sounding like they want, I am Yasharal, we're Yasharal. But then when you get down to the nitty gritty of the matter, they get offended. So it's only very few that you're going to find that are truly Yasharal from a spiritual perspective, that's truly going to stand with Yasharal. Many of them are just wolves in sheep clothing. Many of them are just here to cause confusion. Many of them are just here to try to make themselves feel better. You see, to say, listen, look at us. We're not bad people. We're for you, so on and so forth. You see what I'm saying? But many of them are fakes. Many of them are frauds. I'm not saying all of them are fakes and frauds. You see, but what I'm saying is, you will find very few who are willing to stand with you as a people and are truly for Yahuah and don't have any ulterior motive. That's what I'm saying. You see, and any person, I don't care what your complexion is. I don't care what your accent is. I don't care what your background is. But if you're truly for Yahuah, you're going to be for truth. If you're truly for Yahuah, you're going to be for his people. If you're truly for Yahuah, you're going to stand for what's right. And if you are that person, I don't care who you are. If you are that person, I stand with you. I stand for you. I fight with you. I fight for you because I know you're going to stand with me and you're going to fight with me and you're going to fight for me and we're going to fight for each other. You see what I'm saying? But if you're a fake and a fraud, I want nothing to do with you. And I've come across many fakes and frauds. You see? So, when it comes to people the number of people that will truly embrace Yahuah and his truth from the other nations are so few that one don't have to worry about a whitening. You see, that's just the bottom line, okay? And Yahuah don't tell us to choose spouses based on race. He tell us to choose spouses based on obedience. You see, and that's what it comes down to.
Indeed.
We lost you, Aki. Can you hear me? Oh, wow.
Knock me off. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, knock me off. I appreciate your passion. I can appreciate your passion. The thing is, and this is what, and I totally agree, because at the end of the day, the truth is something that is almost just growing pains,
Yes.
And one of the things that we had now. I don't know if you heard of Jediah. I don't know if you heard of Brother Jediah. You told me you heard of the Watchman.
Yeah.
You heard of these other people and everything.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and this is one of the things, and I'm sure everybody, the Marsh McCall can agree with this totally. Um, and I know it's a reason though. It's a reason why, because if you're not reasonable, there's no reason to come together and be, because you
Indeed.
can't reason if you're not reasonable.
Great point,
So
Aki.
the thing is, and this, but I guess you can say somebody has to be an adult about it, and sometimes you have to just wait, wait and see and look and wait and see and look, be vigilant, and that's the process.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you never know in the, later on down the road, because that's the thing. And I know it's only going to be a small remnant of people that's going to actually grab hold of this truth anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But to stay humble is very important. One is to stay humble is very important, so that you can maybe one day, if the Father put in your heart to say something to another brother that have the zeal to be in the truth, but at the same time, it's crazy because just what you said, I can receive it, even if I don't completely understand everything, because I know it's a time for everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that it's only because of the Father dealing with me,
Yes.
pertaining to being humble, because you have to be humble to be able to absorb what a person may be saying to you and not take it to heart, not take it, have your feelings on your sleeve and
Yeah.
feeling some kind of way, getting all into your emotions, your feelings, and all of that.
Yes. Yes.
So I think that's very important that we understand that. And
Yes.
so if the rest of our brothers and sisters understand that,
Yes.
we can also, because a lot of times we letting our flesh get in the way when we behave in that way. And if we can understand that, we can actually start to talk and reason together. Even
Yes.
if we don't agree with everything, we can still come together.
Yes.
Okay, I hear the kids saying, let me put that to me
Well,
as it's very important.
yes. You're.
When I hear stuff like, okay, uh,
Oh, you're breaking up really bad, really badly, Aki. I'm sorry, you're breaking. You started breaking really badly. I want to hear so badly what you have to say, but you started breaking up very, very badly. Try again and see how it
can,
comes across.
can you hear me?
Yes, yes, clearer now.
All right, and I start to scratch my head about, because I got mixed cousins and, you know,
Mm,
family, all like, just a big, what you would call a melting pot.
yeah.
Um, my family is completely mixed up,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing is, I scratched on a couple of things that I heard, and Father kept me without all, like, because sometimes we get all crazy and and just throw the scriptures away completely
Yeah.
because it's like seems to be too much and so on and so on. So
Mm-hmm.
just to wrap it up, it's so important that we understand to sometimes just be in a place to not be moved by words and so on, so not to be moved and to be, again, my foundation personally, which I believe is the rest of God's foundation,
Yeah.
is to wait on Him
Yes.
in all things, in all matters, in all
Yes.
matters. So it's really nothing to be worried about if you really, like you said, if you truly, 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 truly believe Father and you know that He is faithful,
Yes.
because it's not Him that's unfaithful. Again, it's not Him that's unfaithful. It's us that's unfaithful. We're
Yes.
the ones that's moving to this way and that way before it's time for us to move. So I
Yes.
would like, again, I definitely can appreciate your passion. I can appreciate your wisdom. I don't understand exactly everything because
Yes.
there's still certain things I like to put the puzzles. It's
Mm-hmm.
not really me putting the puzzles together. It's not me at all putting everything together.
Yes.
It's Him dealing with me in a way so that He can show me why this is why, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
So, shalom, shalom. I just wanted to, expound on that.
Praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. And to that again, Aki, I tell you, you are a man, you are an Aki of great wisdom and humility. and I appreciate you. You said something there that must be echoed, must be repeated, and if our people would only get it, that two things are needed for us. We need to be humble, and we need to be reasonable, because that's the only way you're going to be able to reason. You see, we got to be able to reason together, but the only way we're going to be able to reason together is if we are reasonable, and we're going to have to be humble, and that's the biggest hindrance to our people. So we have people out there who are stuck in all kinds of hang-ups, and the reason why they remain stuck in all kinds of hang-ups and feel good when they really shouldn't feel good is because they lack humility and reasonability. You see, they are not reasonable. You can't reason with them, And so, Aki, I appreciate you, Aki, and what I desire to be, I desire to be reasonable. I desire for Yahuah to give me the wisdom and the patience to know when to stop and listen, and to patiently listen so that I can learn and be corrected and be instructed. You see, that's the only way we're going to learn. That's the only way we're going to develop. That's the only way we're going to move forward, because Yahuah uses each one to teach the other, you see. And you know why I believe Yahuah does that? He could do all the teaching himself. But the reason why he does that is so that he can tear down the pride in us. You know what I mean? It's one thing. Let me put it on a work level. It's one thing to get people that you are working side by side with to give you the same level of respect that they give to somebody, maybe a CEO that they only see once a year or once in 10 years. They hear the CEO is coming. He ain't never been to the site before. Everybody in line. But then the one that's over them on a day-to-day basis, they have a hard time, hearing that one, giving that one respect, and so on and so forth. You see? And that same thing applies to us in our day-to-day lives. Especially for us as a people, simply because somebody look like us, we have a harder time hearing from them and receiving from them. And that's got to go. It's got to go out the window. That's the thing that hinder us as a people. So, Aki, I appreciate you, my Aki. I appreciate the wisdom that you bring every time you speak. And I appreciate your humility. And I just appreciate you. Praise Yahuah. Aki Trevin, you had your flag, and I don't see it anymore. Aki, please go ahead. Did we lose Aki Trevin? Aki, go ahead, Aki. I'm going to unmute the mic for you, Aki, as soon as I find you. Here we go. Okay, Aki, can you hear me?
Yes, Aki.
Okay,
Shalom,
great.
shalom.
Shalom.
Yeah, I've been having trouble all day with Fuse.
Yes, yes.
It kept knocking me off because sometimes I'd be at work, I'd be on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
But I just said shalom to Yahuah, shalom to everyone, and another lesson. Even though the things that I've heard, I've been in and out.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to say praise Yahuah for everything that's been going on, even with his people awakening.
Yes.
And everything that's just going forth today. When I be in the shop, a lot of people there, they it's like I'm surrounded with a lot of people that are panicking and worried and different things like that. And I just say, wow, I understand where I just say, I understand where you're coming from, because everybody, afraid of Donald Trump and different things. And then you got your people still in the the Christmas time's coming up
Mm-hmm.
and everything. And what I was going to say, oh yeah, and I was kind of, I'm just going to say it. Me and my Asha,
You got a little
I think I
lower.
remember.
Can you hear me, Mickey? You got a little bit lower. Can you?
Okay, hold on a second. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. No, I was just me and my Asha, we was I'm in here buying something real quick. I'm in my little break. Um, but anyway, me and my Asha, I was laying down in the bed this morning, and she was got to talking to me about the getting her another ring, an
Mm-hmm.
upgrade. Okay, and I said, oh, uh, and I was kind of lost for words because I was thinking of earlier when Kutsar came on there about when we kind of talk about things and we just talked about it, and all of a sudden it's like they come back and try to ask again. Uh, it put me in the mind of saying it's like you really don't want to change that, or you really don't want to do it. Um, and it put me in the mind of you saying exercise patience,
Mm-hmm.
but I, I kind of let her know. I was like, now, babe, you know that I explained to you that we don't supposed to be wearing rings or these rings.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I let her know. I said, I'm not just telling you this just to be saying it. I researched
Mm-hmm.
it, studied it, and at the same time in the scripture, we didn't wear you. And I explained to her, the women wore rings in their nose, gold rings. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, well, oh, yeah, but I like that ring. I said, I understand that. And she called me today, or later on, not too long ago. And I was like, what is going on? And she said, well, I purchased it. How did you purchase it? Well, through Masons.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me, oh, you want me to send it back? Well, I said, well, I mean, you purchased it. And I said, I'd rather for you to, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she kind of was, happy about that. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just uh, being transparent here,
Mm-hmm.
and we all family. Um, but I just wanted to throw that out, kind of throwing it out there that we all have to be patient, like you said, and exercise and let Yahuah lead us because sometimes we're not all on the same page yet.
Mm-hmm.
And certain times these things like this come up. It's kind of difficult, but at the same time, Yahuah always gives us wisdom if we just allow him to continue uh, giving us the wisdom if we stay humble and show humility
Yes.
uh, on that. And I'm just sharing my experience, I'm not one of those guys that like to praise myself. I don't do that, but I just kind of wanted to kind of throw that out there because it could be someone else that's experiencing some things like that. So, but anyway, I just wanted to give you more praise and esteem for for the room and for us as a family uh, to be able to talk about these type of things and especially talk about what's happening now in the next 8 days. Everybody's waiting on Christmas. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, I just want to, and then I don't know. What's funny to me is what I've been hearing. couple things I heard on Facebook is I heard two different uh, scenarios. There was a guy in the mall, and he was a pastor, and and these people were lining up for their children to see Santa, and he walks through there and starts to yell out, "It's an abomination! It's an abomination!" And Christmas is not. It's an abomination. Christmas is pagan. It's all about Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of people got mad at him and told him to stop and leave it alone. And that kind of just like, whoa, okay. It's still like the blind leading the blind.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you got some truth in that. And I heard the other day a guy came on. He came into Target and had his kid with him. And I guess apparently, I don't know if you heard this. Apparently, Target is going to support the transgender bathroom. I believe. I don't know if they're going to put one there. I believe they're going to put one in there.
Mm.
And that's my understanding of it. And I believe that's why he went in there to confront the people, saying that you don't be ashamed of yourself of the transgender and bathroom. That's an abomination. And God don't like that. And then he started talking about the homosexuality and stuff like that. And the lady was like, "You ain't a Christian." And what that put me in the mind of is when the truth comes out, the Christians start to speak and say, "You're not a Christian," and this and that. Even though he was, that's what happens. And when especially when you try to start to speak the truth, and that kind of just, I don't know if you heard that, but that's kind of those things been happening in the last week or so for me. And I'm just kind of letting you, giving out my experiences. But all in all, with Yahuah, it's been great with Yahuah. So I just say shalom, shalom, and I'm going to release the mic. I have problems with it when I pull up the flag. I don't know why I can't, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah, praise Yahuah. Praise Father Aki, and to thou for sharing. I wasn't familiar with either of those. Okay, you got it. I wasn't familiar with either of those two instances, and my approach to that is this.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
So we're not supposed to wear rings at all?
Yeah, so the ring, a ring, what we find is that the ring came out of
The wedding ring?
the wedding ring. What we see in the scriptures, we see our people using nose rings, right? Earrings. That's what we see in the scriptures.
So is this question concerning, I didn't catch everything. Is it concerning a wedding ring or a ring, just a general ring?
I think it had something to do with a wedding ring of some sort. I think that's what.
Was it a wedding ring or a ring?
Aki, was this a wedding ring or a ring? Not.
It was a wedding ring.
Okay.
General wedding ring.
She wanted another band.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So again, so all right, so you got your answer.
Yes. Well, I mean, yeah, I know the answer to that.
Okay. All right. Now, all right, where are we at? Okay, so yeah, I wasn't familiar with the incident at Target or the incident with that guy going through the mall. Either way, me, you won't find me what do you call you won't find me say going to Target saying this, that, and the other concerning their bathroom policy, because I was not called to call Target and its CEOs and its CEOs to Yahuah. I was called to call Yasharal to Yahuah, the people of Yahuah, the dry bones in the valley, to call them back to Yahuah. So, our mission, what I'm saying is, our mission isn't to convert the system to Yahuah, you see, because in the end, this system will be destroyed, you see, because of its wickedness. Yahuah ain't calling the system to him. Yahuah is just using the system to bring his sheep back to him, so the approach is and of course you see the confusion in that, even in a situation with the guy going through the mall saying it's an abomination, you need to turn to Christ or whatever. It's just delusional, you see, overall. So we're not called to that. And they're gonna do what they're gonna do. The most I'd say to my people is you got to go out and you got to go, because eventually, listen, right now homosexuality is nationally, has been made nationally legal in America, right? So it's only a matter of time before every single place that you go into, that you're gonna have these I don't even know how to describe them. Just these perverts. It's only gonna be a matter of time before you walk into a bathroom and you find yourself in there with a bunch of perverts. So what I'd say is, as much as possible, where possible, use the bathroom before you get there. Use your bathroom at home as much as possible. That's not always going to be possible. But the bottom line is that we're living in the belly of the beast. We're living in Babylon. We're living in Sodom and Gomorrah. We're living in Matzrayim. You see? And Yahuah have no interest, contrary to Christian belief. Yahuah have no interest in changing this system, because Yahuah has raised up no prophet to these nations. Yahuah has raised up no prophet to this system. Yahuah raises up messengers to his people to awaken them so that they can be delivered out of the system. And then the wicked and his system will be destroyed. So it's kind of fruitless. You see people going out there doing that, because this is their system, this is their land, and they're going to do what they are going to do in their land. The land that Yahuah tell us not to defile, not to profane, and to keep set apart from these things, is the land that he has given to us, his people, promised to us. You see? And that is the land that, if we were in that land, we say, absolutely, it ain't going down here. You see? But our ancestors, while they were in the land on more than one occasion, they said, hey, let's have it, Let's do what the other nations are doing. You see? But that's the only place we have to guard and watch over. Not this place. All right. Well, Mashpaka, we're going to take a break. We're going to take a break. And what I'm going to do during the break, since the subject of the images came up, I've started to play that video here before. I never played it in entirety. I'm going to put a video on, the video Images and Mighty Ones. I'm going to put that on and during the break. And then when we come back, we'll get to the book of Mashaly, the book of Proverbs. chapter 15. You see. Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, Akut. Is Akut Yaria here? Let me see. Uh-oh. Fuse knocked me off. Oh boy. Now I'm having... Okay. I was knocked off by Fuse here. I'm getting back on, family.
This conference is being recorded.
Okay, my apologies there, family. I was knocked off by Fuse. Yeah, no, I didn't see her. I didn't see Akut Yaria. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to take a break. Oh, Akut, oh, she's on the phone line.
She's on the phone.
I think she might be on the phone.
Tell her I want to give her a call tomorrow if I can.
Okay, Akut Yaria, my Asha said she wants to give you a call tomorrow if she can. All right, we're gonna oh, okay, I see. Okay, so we're gonna take a break. We're gonna she's watching the way you're watching, babe. She's watching from YouTube.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take a break, family. We're gonna take a break, and I'm gonna put this video on images on Mighty Ones, and let that play till we come back from break. Okay. Yeah. Pal Talk. I got an invitation from Pal Talk the other day to return to Pal Talk. Pal Talk works better. I like Pal Talk better, but I have a problem with Pal Talk. When I was on Pal Talk, my computers, they trashed my computers. I continue to get attacked by vicious viruses. Yeah. I was being attacked like deliberately, and I lost a few computers that way, and that's why we left Pal Talk. I hated to leave Pal Talk, but we had to. It was so bad we had to. You see, so you know, maybe they didn't like a lot of things that we had to say, but we were being viciously attacked on Pal Talk, and that's why we left Pal Talk. They sent me an invitation the other day to come back, and I responded to their email. I said, now, if I could be guaranteed to come back and not be attacked, I'll come back. That's what I sent. I responded to their email. You know, I don't know if they responded to my email. I got to get back to my emails to see. But basically, I told them I've lost a few computers because of malicious attacks from that platform. So, you know, but I really prefer Pal Talk than Fuse, because you have so many interruptions with Fuse, you know. But then we were being attacked viciously there. All right. Yes. Yes, indeed, Akut. Yes, indeed. Yes. So, yeah, that's why we're no longer on Pal Talk. All right. Well, family, we're gonna take a break. I'm gonna put. Yeah. GoToMeeting is quite expensive. Yeah. I'm gonna put this video on Mashpaka. I'm gonna stop the YouTube live feed, by the way. Fuse will remain open. YouTube and Facebook. I'm gonna stop that live feed, and Fuse will remain open. I'm gonna put the video on. It will be on Fuse, and then I'll see you in a half an hour. Okay. So we're gonna prepare to stop here for now, and I'll come back in a half an hour. I'll see you shortly, Mashpaka. For those of you joining us via YouTube and Facebook, and to the rest of the family on Fuse.